I'm Ztarli, and in this video I'll be drawing a merman inspired by the shadow scale from Day of Dragons for MerMay, which is a month-long celebration of mermaids, which I absolutely love because I actually super adore mermaids. So I think MerMay is the best thing ever, not because I get to draw mermaids, because I'm actually not very good at drawing mermaids or mermen or merfolk or whatever, but everyone else draws them, so I get to see lots of awesome merfolk art. I guess the only thing I would enjoy more if there was a month-long celebration for dragons, because dragons are top tier for me. They're the very pinnacle of my tier list of things that I love. It's probably dragons, and then it's hard between mermaids and dinosaurs. I do really love dinosaurs too, but I'm not good at drawing dinosaurs either. So I think mermaids more, and then dinosaurs. That's my top 3 creatures in the world. Even though 2 of them don't exist currently. Dinosaurs, obviously. I'm rambling. I'm gonna stop. Let's talk about the art. So as you may have been able to tell already by the title and the sketch that I'm doing, this merman that is going to be a merman is inspired by a dragon species from the game Day of Dragons. It's inspired by the shadow scale. I was just thinking about what I was going to draw for MerMay, and I was playing Day of Dragons and I was looking at the shadow scale's tail, and it does just make the perfect mermaid tail. It's kind of got like its own sort of fish tail going on there, and it's got fins all along the side of it. So I just decided I'd just use that part of the shadow scale and incorporate it into a mermaid. I did also decide to add some like little miniature shadow scale wings in as well, just to add something extra to the back of him. But yeah, that's the whole concept behind this. The screenshots I had on the screen before of my character on US 4, which I actually just got to Elder, which is really cool. I was on 99% to getting my dragon to Elder when the game got hacked and I lost my progress, but they handled that hack super well, and I wasn't on during the hack, so I was able to have my dragon restored to after the hack, which means when I logged on, when I logged back on again after they fixed it for me, I had like 99% and I got Elder straight away. It was really cool. So I'd just like to shout out to the admins and everyone who's been working on Day of Dragons to say, like, you guys handled that situation so well. So kudos to you. But yeah, so long story short, I guess, inspiration for this is the shadow scale, and specifically my character, the shadow scale I have been using. So it is going to be a constellation skin, which, as you can see in the screenshots there, is the grey, sort of dark grey skin with the purple edges. I do always kind of take my own liberty when colouring things, so I'll usually use the pictures as a guide, and then I'll edit the colours to sort of suit what I like and make it fit into my picture, like the vision I had in my own mind. And sometimes, that's fine anyway, because if you look at colours against different things, so, if you look at colours against light or dark colours, they can be perceived differently anyway. It's kind of like that dress meme. Was it gold and blue or white? No, it was white and gold or black and blue. And I perceive those colours as white and gold, but I was wrong. And my husband, he was right. It was black and blue, but because of how the colours were in the background, my brain perceived those colours differently because of just how it was recognising it against the really bright background. So, you don't always have to match colours exactly of how they appear against different things. So because this character is going to be on a watery sort of tropical place, I adjust the colours to fit that mood more, and they're not going to be exact, and I very rarely use exact colours while colouring. I think it's more fun that way anyway. You get to play around with colours more, and I've always been a massive fan of mixing in colours. So as you can see here, I don't use black for shadows, and I don't normally use white for highlights. I'll always pick a colour and mix it in, and then when I get to the painting stage, I mix even more colours into it. So yeah, I think it's always a good idea, or a bit of fun at least to play around with colours, and don't just teardrop the exact colour and make it exactly the same colour every time, unless you are trying to make like a series of stickers or something that are all meant to be in exactly the same lighting on exactly the same background. Now my return viewers may have noticed that this is, again, quite a long video, which means this is not a speed paint. This actually took me 6 hours and 40 minutes to do in total, and as per usual, a large amount of that time is spent during painting. Because this has a human face and sort of body shape to the front of it, I always end up spending a lot of time trying to get the face features right when it comes to human things, and it's actually been a very long time since I've done anything humanoid. I guess it's the front of it's humanoid. I've mostly been drawing dragons, which you know I really love doing, but I do like mermaids, so I kind of can't draw a mermaid without the human part. Otherwise it's just a fish. It's not a mermaid or merman or merfolk. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, even though it took me a long time. And I did have to try and remember how to draw noses. You'll see me struggling with the nose later on. I think I kind of do part of it, and then I turned the tablet off. It didn't come back to it for like 2 days because I got so frustrated with it. Noses are so hard to get right. You kind of have to have like the lighting right to have the shapes turn out right. Like this just looks awful. Look at that hideous nose. It doesn't look good, I'm not gonna lie, but that's okay because I fix it later. I did actually try to look up a bunch of references for noses, but it's kind of hard to find ones that are not super realistic, that would match my painting style, and ones that are in the right angle. So I actually, in the end, I just made my husband pose for me, and I took photos of his nose, and I used those as reference, and it really helped me get the nose looking right. I also had the eyes in the wrong position. I had a bit of trouble getting those right too, but I think they're in the right position now. It looks okay. That nose is so bad. I hate noses. I really just like looking at this face right now. Can we hurry up? Can I just skip to the part where I fix the nose? I know I leave it for a long time though, because I just, when I can't get something right, I just move on to something else and let it sort of chill for a bit, and then I'll come back and fix it later when I'm sort of more fresh. So I know I just leave that nose like that for ages. Noses and hands. Hands can be really hard too, but I kind of find with hands now, I can pretty easily get a shape without needing references, and I sort of have a particular style or process I follow for hands where I can get fingers looking like fingers fairly easily and quickly just by using heavy shadows. So I sort of, when we get to the hand part, I'll talk you through what I'm doing in that part. At the moment, I'm just trying to get the shape of the shoulders and the butt, I guess, where the tail attaches to the back, right? I struggle with that too, and I make some changes and then change them back, and you can see I'm trying to do that now. But I think I just kind of leave it like this in the end and smooth it over. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add horns to it either, like the shadow scale horns. In the end, I decided not to. I'm going to give him hair, so he's not going to be bald. He will have hair. Hair does take a long time too, but again, I sort of have a process for it. So I have a sort of certain pattern that I follow when making hair that makes it pretty quick for me, and normally I don't have to get heaps of references to fix things. But yeah, it looks like I'm finally sorting this nose out a bit. So you can see it looks a bit better now. It looks less strange and more like it's an actual nose. I don't put too much detail in it, but just enough that it looks like an actual nose and not something disturbing. He kind of looks disturbing still, if I'm honest. He's got such an alien face. Look at me trying to draw his mouth. Oh dear. It gets better, I swear. It looks good by the end, I promise you. That's where mouth goes, right? That's where mouth goes. That's where the mouth is now. It's going to stay there for a while. I realized at this point that I didn't quite capture the right shape of the fins on the shadow scale, they kind of come out a bit and then go back in a bit. So I just sort of stretch them out and then repaint over them. But because I've already made another layer that has the water effect on top, I then have to fix the water layer above. But it wasn't much effort to fix it, so that was alright. We're now gonna give him some hair, yeah! So I'm not gonna be bald anymore. So I just add the sort of hairline first and then a rough silhouette of what I want the hair to look like. And then I just add quite a much brighter color on top to sort of define where the larger strokes are going to be. And then I get a lighter color still and add the smaller strokes, trying to keep most of them at the front and not too many at the back to sort of give it more focus for the front of the hair. And because he's sort of short on the side, I blur the colors in a bit more so they don't look so separate. It looks like it's more like fuzzy hair. And then I'm just going to adjust it, and I want it to have like a slight gradient. So just add a gradient layer here to give it a bit of color. And then I paint back over it again so that it's more, the color's sort of more integrated. It doesn't look like I just dumped a gradient on it. So I just grab some of the blues and paint them back through the hair. I actually really like how this hair came out. It's a tiny bit too shiny, but I don't know, maybe he uses oil or something in his hair and it's super shiny, or maybe it's not. Maybe merman hair is not made the same way as normal people's hair. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Well, now I'm going to add a couple little stray strands of hair. I think this step adds a bit more realism to your hair, so unless you've put tons of gel in your hair to hold it all down firm, then you're going to have a loose hair here and there. So I just grab a really thin brush and draw a couple of stray hairs out, just, blowing around in the breeze. And then I'm done with the hair, and I'm going to start adding a bit more color into the skin. I kind of played around with the skin color for a while at the start. I thought I was happy with it, but then when I start painting this all, I decide I'm not super happy with the skin color, and I put a bit more, a more saturated sort of purple and reds back into it. We're now working on the hands, so I'll just mention my process here. Is I usually use a really dark color to define the bend in the fingers, and especially if there's something else below the hand, like they're holding something or there's water there, I'll also incorporate a reflection from the water, so you can see that the fingers are really, where the bends are really defined, and it was really easy to get that sort of illusion of a hand with just a couple of strokes of my brush because of the, I've made it like sort of steps in the colors, and I pretty much do that every time I make hands now. It's just my quick process of making hands. I actually really enjoy doing it, and I actually enjoy coloring skin tones as a whole. I think that's probably why I ended up adjusting the colors of the human proportion of this picture, because it was a bit too far removed from real human tone and I just wasn't enjoying it as much, so I just kind of added more skin tones in there. But yeah, I'm much happier with the colors I ended up with than what I had before, and I think it looks better with a slightly more humanish skin tone. I mean, it's still an inhuman skin tone, it's purple. It's very purple, but I don't know, having more pinks and yellows in there I think made it a bit more believable. It was definitely more enjoyable to use those colors than the less pinky tones I had there before. I think I'm nearly done with the actual human part of this. I'm just adjusting the muscles around the neck and shoulders, and then shortly I'll be moving on to the fish part of him. That thing down on his face is meant to be the little row of spikes that the shadow skull has on its nose. It kind of just looks like a weird pattern or a weird piece of hair. I think I actually forget to fix this. We'll have to pay attention to the end of the video. But I think it looks kind of cute, but it doesn't really look like a row of spikes. It kind of just looks like, I don't know, snake's pattern, like the snake diamond pattern you sometimes see. But it's there, so, I'm going to fix these wings. They kind of weren't right, so I used my reference and adjusted where the actual finger parts, the finger bones would be in your wings, because essentially wings are just hands that are being elongated, and that's how I always draw wings actually, is if I don't have a reference picture for the creature I'm drawing, then I kind of just hold my hand out and spread my fingers apart and try and imagine that my arm and my hands are the wings, and think about where the bones would be, and if it's flapping, how the fingers would bend. And I find that helpful in creating wings, especially bat-like or dragon wings. Not as helpful for bird wings. I always have to use references for bird wings because feathers are insane. Some will say scales are insane too, but I don't know, I can kind of make up where scales go a lot easier than you can with feathers. If you don't have wing feathers in the right position on a wing, then it just looks wrong. So scales are easier for me to do than feathers. You can tell I'm near the end of this now because I'm adding the final touches. Normally when I start adding the highest of highlight, which is the little flecks of white on like the fingers and on his lip and that kind of thing, then that's when I've decided the painting part is done. Sometimes it's not, and I will return to parts of it, and which is what I actually do here. This is interesting, actually. I changed his eyes to have shadows underneath them because I was actually watching the League of Legends Netflix show, and the art style of that is so good. It was so pretty to watch, but they really define the eyelids on that, and I really liked it. And I thought, my characters don't really have eyelids, so I decided to add the shadows in underneath to actually show that he's got eyelids, and added a bit more sort of highlights to certain parts around the face, and I thought it made a real difference. So it's something I'm going to keep in mind for my pictures in the future, is to make sure that my characters have eyelids. So I guess thank you, League of Legends animated TV show, for showing me the magic of eyelids. But my little merman, merboy, I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's 25, maybe he's 2000, I don't know. How do you tell how old a fish person is? You tell me. But yeah, the point is, he's nearly done. We're nearly done with it. I really enjoyed doing this. I don't think I draw people enough. I definitely haven't had enough practice drawing faces to be really confident in them. So if you think I should, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more human-like characters, then let me know. I will always be drawing dragons. They are my favorite thing in the world and have always been my favorite thing to draw, even as a little girl. Basically, if I can't think of something to draw, I just default to dragon. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. So just adding the final touches to my background now. So I adjusted the angle of that tail because it was kind of wrong, and I've dipped it into the water so the character looks more like they're actually part of the background and not just sort of placed on top of it. And we're just adding some glints of light on the top of the water so the water looks like it's actually a movable thing and it's not just made of glass or something. I'll also be fixing the sand in a moment, so I add some sand to sort of be in front of his arm and around his arm, and I mix in some more colors and add a bit more texture, and I mix in some of the color from his own body into the sand because it's on it, so there will be a bit of reflected color there. And I fix the shadows around the character itself and fix up the background where I had moved the little islands there and tailed down. So I had to add in some more texture there so it didn't just look like a blank piece of ocean or pond or lake. I'm not actually sure what he's in. Looks like a puddle. I'm going to say it's a pond. Now I'm going to add my blur layer in. So essentially what I've done here is I've just duplicated the character layer and then blurred it a bunch. And then I erase away that blurred layer in the parts I want to be most in focus, so around the front of the character. And now I'm adding another layer to darken the back part of the picture. So I just used a gradient tool and made the back a bit darker to add more focus to the front of the picture, which is where I want you to be looking because it's where I spent all my time. And this is done. So I assign it and I crop it. And it's finally finished. I did actually make two versions of this picture. I did one where I adjusted all the colors with contrast and one where I didn't. And this one is the adjusted picture, and I might post the other one on my Twitter or my DeviantArt. Well, thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a like, and if you want to see more videos, then subscribe to my channel. I also do have a Patreon if you'd like to support me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!